Okay, so if you're not familiar with After Effects and you wanted to use Adobe Premiere, that's also possible. So this is just going to show you how to set up a scene in Adobe Premiere that will display correctly in the Igloo. Okay, so this is the default interface of Premiere. I'm going to go and add a new item here, a sequence. And what we want to do here is go to Settings, and we want to specify the resolution of the Igloo. So if you're just using the walls, which is what we'll do to start with, then we want the frame size to be 11914, and the height is 1080, so 11914 by 1080. Time base up here, we want to pick a frame rate, so either 30 frames a second or 60 frames a second if you want it ultra smooth. I'm going to go for 30, which seems to be a happy medium, and we'll press OK there. So now we've created a sequence, it's called Sequence 01, so I'm just going to rename this to Igloo Walls. And then you can just treat this like you would any other Premiere project. So if I zoom out of here, or maybe make it a little bit bigger so you can see. So yeah, we have just a giant horizontal canvas here, which is just the walls. So anything that you put on here is just going to display with this being in the middle, this being on the left, and this being on the right. So I'm just going to bring in some media, so let's just pull in a couple of pictures maybe. A video. This is just some stuff I've got on my hard drive. I'm not really sure what we're doing here, but so I'm just going to put this in into my timeline. So here you can see I've added a picture. If I go to Effects Controls, I can make that smaller or bigger. Let's just kind of scale that up a little bit. My computer is struggling to move this around smoothly. So I'm just going to move this from full resolution to a quarter resolution just to make it a little bit easier to see what's going on. So you can see I've just added in a picture here. Let's add another one. So let's stick this in there as well. So we want them both at the same time. So I'll stick that on another layer. And we'll move that one to the left or the right. And maybe we'll just do a third one here. And stick that over to the side, so position, I'm just going to move that along here. If you're doing stuff like this, I would recommend using After Effects instead of Premiere. Premiere is much better just for after you've created something to edit bits out of it, etc. But it is possible to stack layers on top of each other in Premiere and just kind of use it like this. There's an example here of one that I've actually made in After Effects before, so this is a video that plays back with a bunch of stuff that I've kind of added in. So I just kind of cobbled a load of clips together inside After Effects and rendered out a nice long walls video here, so you can kind of see that going, and that's kind of how you can scatter things around. But we'll get rid of that for now. So once you're happy with whatever you've created in Premiere, the way to export it is to click on your sequence, make sure it's got a blue line around it. Go File, Export, send to Adobe Media Encoder. And that will bring it into Adobe Media Encoder here. It's called Igloo Walls. You can see it's Premiere. And the codecs I've already discussed in the After Effects video, so I would recommend going back to the After Effects video and just have a look at the way that we exported things for the Igloo in there. So this is the walls only. I would do a H.265 at about 60 megabit per second. Okay, so if you're going to create something for the walls and the floor in Premiere, the way to do it, let's create a new sequence. So I'm just going to go down here, create a new sequence. We want to make sure in settings that the resolution and the frame rate are right again. So this time we're doing the walls and the floor. That's the full resolution of the Igloo is 11914 by 4872. Making sure that the frame rate is down to 30 frames a second. And okay, so now we've got another sequence, and we'll call this one Igloo Walls and Floor. There we go, if we double click that, that's open up here. So you'll notice that the canvas is a lot bigger. So we've still got our wall strip at the top, roughly where my mouse is there, kind of that bit. But you've also got a circle down here for the floor. So I'll just show you what that looks like by bringing in one of the pictures that I have that I use as to make sure that I've got the resolution correct here. So there we go. So that's mapping perfectly. 11914 by 4872 is the size of this image, and it's sitting perfectly where it belongs here. So we've got the left edge here, we've got the right edge here. So this top section is all the walls, and the floor is this circle at the bottom here. So with the walls and the floor in place, you can just start to populate it with media just as you did before. So we can put a picture on the floor there. So if I click on this, let me just zoom in a little bit. I can bring that down, so that was now central to the floor. I can scale it up a bit. So that picture is now covering up the entire floor and is obviously going to be cropped off in a circle around here. So if I make that a little bit more transparent, you can see exactly what that's going to look like here. So you can see that's what it's going to look like on the floor. Let's go back up to 100%. And then you can populate the walls just like you did before. So up here, we can put a picture at the top. Let's move that up. And move it across. So anything down in this blue section here is not going to be visible. You're only going to see stuff in this top section here. So let's scale that down. Move it up. Okay, so when you're happy with whatever you've made for the walls and the floor, and you've positioned everything where it needs to be, again, you just go and export. So I'm going to click down here to make sure it's active. I'm going to go File, Export, Send to Adobe Media Encoder. So I've talked about the codecs and the export process before for the walls and the floor. Because it's a lot bigger, you have to use Apple ProRes 422 LT as a QuickTime format and convert it to a format called HAP, which is a lot easier on the computer to play back. But if you go and have a look at the end of the After Effects video, I talk about that in more detail there.